Hi, my name's Lindy and welcome to my channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk. My email is info@lindycowling.co.uk. And the title of the video this evening is Stuck, the most common word in connections. Stuck. Now, the only group or category of people that I work with that I don't hear that phrase come up virtually on a daily basis are the category that are evolving very quickly into their creator source 0 point conscious energy. And they have got to a point in their evolution where they are running internally to the highest form, the authentic form, the true form of who they are, minus any programming, belief systems, core soul triggers, etc., etc. They've got to a point in their evolution where they're squeaky clean, 0 point energy, creating in the moment as they are going along. They are the only category of people I work with that I don't hear the phrase stuck, I'm stuck, my life is on hold, I can't move forward, I'm going round and round in a circle. Now, let's really go over the reasons why. And the reason I'm bringing this out now is not because this is a new theme and a new kind of stuck. I've seen this a lot, but it's really become highlighted to me in the last few weeks, but particularly the last week. I've had a few emails from people using that terminology and also worked with people this week, some of whom were using that terminology. So I always see that when something comes up over and over again, especially if it's like a repeating theme, I always see that as a sign. Okay, let's talk about this or share this, and often if it's a theme that is something that I've been through, as it's an experiential channel, or that I'm going through, then I will share it then. And so I feel that it was a good time to share it tonight. So the most common thing that people say when they have met a soul connection, this can be a soulmate, this can be a twin flame, this can be none of the above, it might be a catalyst, it might be a linear connection, it may be a non-linear connection, it might be a multi-dimensional connection, it might be a non-multi-dimensional connection. This is not exclusive just to particular aspects of the human experience, although, like I say, in the most conscious group at the top end of the spectrum, you rarely hear or see that language being used, almost certainly because they've come through the template in a different direction, or it wasn't their life experience, or they've been, let's say, stuck much earlier on in their evolution, and at that point, once fully conscious, shall we say, they're not experiencing any of their human experience or life in the same way. So most commonly, what you will hear people say is using the same kind of language. So they'll be saying, I've been in an experience with a connection, and it doesn't even really matter what that connection is. Like I say, whether it's twin flame, soulmate, catalyst, whatever, is a similar theme. Yes, the more polarized soul energy connection, the more people seem to get stuck, and I'll explain why in a second. So the kind of language people will be using is I've been in a soul connection, or I was in a soul connection, or I am in a soul connection and a situation. I've tried to move forward from that in a myriad of ways. I can't get them off my mind. I can't get them out of my dreams. I can't get them out of my head. I feel like I'm grieving all the time. I try and manage it. I try and move forward. I'm trying to work on myself. I'm trying to look inwardly. I'm trying to take steps in a direction away from them, and yet all the time I feel like the stuffing has been knocked out of me. I feel completely drained. I don't have an interest in the same things as I did before. I don't feel the same as I did before. I don't look at the world or myself the same as I did before. I can't seem to move forward. I just keep going back round and round, either over the past all the time, or I can't see any kind of future, even though I try to carve one out. And they will talk this way, and it won't be a temporary thing. Like, this hasn't been something for them that's been going on a few days or weeks. This has been going on a number of months, but usually more than months. Usually we're running into a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and they're going in this kind of life cycle and this loop here. Now, first of all, what I want to say is that it's nobody's fault. So if you're watching this video and you're just feeling completely like demoralized, and your confidence has been knocked for a loop, and you are feeling that there's something you should have done, and you kind of, what happens with these cycles is you tend to blame yourself more and more, and what you do is you add literally fuel to the fire and start beating yourself up more, like, why am I stuck? Why can't I move forward? People try all kinds of things to get the experience out of their mind and the person out of their mind to try and move forward. And the reason that a lot of people are stuck, well, there's a few reasons. Let's go for the top one first. When you have met a direct reflection of yourself, whether it is in a catalyst form, a soul form, a sort of essence, a spirit essence form, all the titles we can give this of the connection that you can have. When you've met that kind of connection, they are life-changing, and they're life-changing because they're supposed to be. And sometimes they're life-changing in a way that totally and utterly sucks. I mean, majorly sucks. But transformation, anyone who says transformation is a walk in the park is a liar, because transformation is not a walk in the park. And transformation, as the word implies, is change. And for some people it's quicker than others, but it's change, and it's a lot of inner and outer change, which is quite uncomfortable for most people. When you have met someone in connection where you have had a direct connection, either aspects of same soul or soul family or soul mate or catalyst or twin flame, la 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 la, what happens there is you, let's say temporarily, in terms of time, have a direct reflection of your own divinity. Sometimes you will see, experience, taste, touch the purity and divinity of yourself within someone else, and vice versa. I explained about 4 years ago on video that it's a bit like having the keys to the kingdom of heaven and tasting that elixir, feeling alive for the first time perhaps in your life, and then that's almost bliss. I would use the word bliss, lasting for so long until you hit the floor. So it's like coming from angelic to really even below the floor. That's plateaus after a while, and you can bounce back up, but you don't seem to bounce back up for a long time to where you were before, depending on the stuff you have to work through, what stuff is in your life experience, in your soul experience to work through. And some people, it takes a lifetime to taste again that elixir of bliss, to get back to what they experienced with that connection. And that is incredibly painful. It's a bit like, and I'm going to use the analogy again, it's a bit like somebody who dies and then they go over to the other dimension, the other side, and perhaps they are with angelic beings and they can feel all of that love and all of that joy and euphoria and bliss, the word again. And then the heart surgeon puts, or literally jump leads. I'm sure there's a proper heart surgeon term for it, which escapes me at the moment, onto the heart to sort of like jumpstart the heart again, and then brings them back, and suddenly they're feeling so blissed out they kind of don't want to come back, and then they're yanked back into the physical human body. And people that have these, let's say, death experiences or near-death experiences will tell you they're life-changing and they're never the same again. And what they experienced there was absolutely joyful. And in a way, they kind of, not in a morbid way, look forward to the day when it is time for them to pass over and stay over, because they know what's waiting for them. Well, it's a bit like experiencing that, but when you are, let's say, alive and well, and in the human vehicle, and you didn't have to go over to the other dimension to experience it. So what people are doing is they are tasting, feeling, experiencing, having mirrored to them the elixir of that bliss, of that divinity, of that pure love, of that pure joy. And when you've tasted it, you've tasted it. And it's a hell of a drop when you drop down to ground level again and then spend a number of months or years almost reworking, going through a journey to experience that again internally with oneself without it having to be mirrored outside of you again, before then walking alongside others or another where you can experience it simultaneously and it not drop again. In other words, becoming fully conscious. I'm not suggesting that all people that are fully conscious are in a state of bliss all the time. What I'm saying is, at our point in human evolution, the nearest we can come to that divinity that we taste, that real spiritual energy that we taste or experience there at the beginning with a connection, the nearest we can come is to become fully conscious, because then you are accessing or within the portal of the heart all the time. I mean, the portal of the heart takes over. It's not on, off, on, off, on, off. It's all the time then. And as a conscious being, you are making conscious decisions as you're creating your reality as you're going along. And it's the nearest you can come to experiencing what you felt with, let's say, your original connection and your original kickstart to awakening. So you can walk alongside others that are matching you, that are much less polarized, much less triggering, or not polarized or triggering at all, that also match your consciousness, whether they're a soul connection or not, that match your consciousness, that are compatible with you, that you can experience amazing, miraculous life experiences, amazing, miraculous events, amazing, miraculous love that is in a stable, embodied, balanced form. Because at the end of the day, that's what everyone wants. It's all right me describing experiences like this that people have experienced and people like myself have experienced. But if it's just a flash in the pan, if it's just a temporary bliss, euphoria, enlightenment, yes, it changes you for the rest of your life. But if actually having it in your hands and then it falls through your fingers like sand, everybody thinks that sucks. I mean, I think that sucks. It's not really about that. It gives you an indication of your own divinity. It gives you an indication of the spiritual being, the essence you are. It gives you an indication of a goalpost in a way to reach for. It gives you that encouragement to keep going forward, knowing for sure in your heart of hearts that you are that which you experienced. You are that which you experienced. That which was bounced back and reflected to you, that which you saw in an aspect of same soul, that which you saw in another person reflected back to you, that which you saw from a catalyst or a soulmate or a twin flame, or, you know, whatever the connection is. We don't even have to give it a name. You are that which you saw reflected back to you. And what people do is they will most naturally, which is what all of us do, they will, having had experienced that, go through a massive grieving process, a massive journey into trying to retrieve what slipped through their hands and their fingers, trying to retrieve it outside of them before they come to a point in their realization that they, in order to retrieve it, they have to go inside. Now, I work with many people that have been doing inner work for some time, and they are doing that side of it. But it gets to a point where one continues on that journey until they come into a unified, whole, balanced form of their own consciousness. And it is at that point, and another word for this is union with themselves, and this does not just apply for twin flame union, it is the unified field and union with themselves. When they hit that, there are infinite possibilities. There are infinite possibilities of reuniting with, let's say, a twin flame. There are infinite possibilities of connecting with multiple possibilities, you know, multiple connections. It doesn't have to be soul family or soul group. It may be matching consciousness, because that is a state of union and unified field they've got to within themselves. And so just like if I go full circle, that which they originally experienced was them. Well, as they become fully conscious, that which they experience is matching them. It's matching them again, but let's say on a different level of the spectrum, not necessarily soul level, matching consciousness in a much less polarized form. According to where people start, where they're not everybody is starting at the same point. It's like a race, but it's not a race in a way. But I'm using this example. It's like a race but not everybody is starting at the same start line. We are all starting in different places according to our soul's blueprint, according to our lives, according to the template we've come through. You know, some templates are faster moving than others. It depends where and what we're on track to and towards, really. What I can say is the main reason why people feel stuck is because they are trying to grab hold of that divinity outside of them. There is a very deep-seated inherent response, really, on a very deep level, and quite natural. It's like an instinct to grab for the source. Ironically, that word source. A grab for the source, grab for the divine, grab for the God through somebody else. And it's a painful thing to realize for many people, and it was for me, that you have to grab for it within. And when you grab for it within and become the embodiment of it within yourselves, then you can, like I say, have that matching experience or experiences outside of you in a unified form. not that is journeying towards union or journeying towards a unified energy, but in a unified form, whether that's with your original connection or with another expression of consciousness. That is the main reason why people get stuck, the word stuck. Another reason that they get stuck is they can get very caught up in things like triggering their own core soul stuff. And again, I've got explanations of how to heal core soul wounds on this channel. They can get caught up because of the inner child stuff. Again, there is examples of how to do the inner child stuff on this channel. They get caught up in their own pain bodies. Again, they get caught up in different belief systems that come from immediate blood family and sometimes soul family. They can get caught up in all these places along the way that keeps them going round and round in a loop that they feel they can't get free of. Another reason that they get caught up is a very deep, I would say, not really belief system, it's a codependent kind of programming, really. Again, depending on your background, childhood, your society, it's stronger in some aspects than others. A very strong codependency of someone else fixing you, someone else needing you, you needing to be seen through the eyes of another to be of value. Really, those things are actually higher than the need in people to be in a relationship, ironically. None of these things are wrong. I mean, it's called normal, it's called being human. And actually, it is devastating to one's well-being to be in total isolation long term. What I would say is part of the journey is recognizing these things and getting to a point in one's evolution where you no longer need this from outside of you, but you are happy to be part of that and actually appreciative to have that, grateful to have that, would be happy to have that. You know, it would enhance your experience, their experience, the life that you have, perhaps the work that you're doing. So there's a difference between needing and that real strong codependency and kind of wanting. It's a difference between being in a dance hall and sitting on a chair at the edge of the dance hall, yearning and needing and burning to be noticed by your connection or a one or the one, yearning for that, needing it, needing to be seen through their eyes, to know your own worth, to know love, to know your value, needing it more than anything else, almost in a like an obsessive-y kind of way. There's a difference between that. So you're sitting on the edge of that dance hall, or you sitting in that dance hall, looking at them from afar, loving them, loving you, feeling secure in who you are, knowing who you are, not needing to be seen through their eyes, feeling totally complete, unified in union inside yourself, and sitting there with that kind of, let's say, aura and persona, which is genuine, the authentic, truthful you, not putting on a front, just genuinely you, and then engaging in a dance with them on that level footing. There's a huge difference. You can see the difference. You can feel the difference in the frequency of what I just said. A totally different frequency between that desperation and no desperation at all. And you can't fake that and you can't leap to that. it's stepping stones again to your own evolution till you get to a point where it's like that. It doesn't mean to say you won't go through grieving. It doesn't mean to say you won't experience a myriad of things, which some will be wonderful and some will absolutely totally suck. But that's part of the human experience. And you will get to a point, like I say, if you decide to move forward, where you will get to that point where your whole perception and your whole consciousness is totally different to how it is when you're in that desperate kind of needy place. When you're in the desperate needy place, I can tell you categorically that your connection senses it. They sense it perhaps before even you do, just as you sense things about them. And what it does is it makes them run for the hills, because they sense it. They sense that polarized energy. They sense that clinging, desperate kind of energy. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental way. I've been there. I've done it. I've done the codependent thing. It took me 3 years to get clear of that. Ghastly, ghastly painful, very big core soul wound stuff, abandonment stuff, the whole works I have had to do. I don't teach or share about anything at all that I have not had personal experience growing through, gone through, or have been helping other people to navigate. It's not, a channel that goes on speculation. It's all on that experiential level. So these are some of the key reasons why people get stuck. And if you are someone that's stuck, the last thing you want to do is beat yourself up for it. I mean, there's enough going on for you that you don't want to heap that coal onto the fire. It's a question of looking at all these different angles, and it's a question of, in some ways, it's not almost having the courage to stand on your own 2 feet, because that's not applicable to some people. To some people it is, and some people that doesn't apply, because some people have been doing loads of inner work on themselves, and still, a number of years have passed, several years, and they're still finding, they keep looking back there. Let's redefine the word stuck, really. A lot of the word stuck is how we think about it and how we apply our thoughts towards what stuck is, and our consciousness towards that. Perhaps we need to reframe this and say, perhaps in some cases, not all cases, but perhaps in some cases, it's not being stuck, but it's a natural human response to when you've had something as vast as I'm explaining here, to want to experience that and live that. Who wouldn't want to experience that and live that on a 24/7 basis? Anyone that's had experience of that, this is why they find it so hard to let go. Now, when I say let go, let me be clear what I mean here. The word let go of almost like trying to control how you re-experience that again. Some people, again, let's reframe it. Some people would say, my God, how lucky are you to have experienced that in your life, something like that some people will never experience, which is mind-blowing and life-altering and life-changing. Some people would say, my God, you're so lucky. In fact, most people would. You're so lucky. And then there will be some people that say, thank God I didn't experience anything like that, because it's horrendous, because of the polarized side of it as well. But let's reframe it and say, you would not have experienced and be experiencing what you're experiencing were it not, let's say, for a reason, in order for you to stretch, in order for you to grow, in order for you to springboard, as I've said before in previous videos, like this twin flame trampoline, to springboard up from what they experience or experiences were, whatever it is for you, into further expansion and further growth. And in all these things, we have a choice. Again, I've used this phrase before in a video. We can either turn away from love or turn into love. We can either become very bitter and twisted and resentful, or we can decide to go through the process, and wherever you're at in the process, take a deep breath and not only retain but actually gain the humanitarian part of who you are, the heart of who you are, the love of who you are, the purity of who you are, the genuineness of who you are, the authentic who you are, the truth of who you are, the 0 point conscious who you are, the creator you are. Or you can bang your head on the wall over and over again. Bang, 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 bang. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Banging your head on that brick wall. If you're in that brick wall place, you've been in it for weeks, months, days, years, don't beat yourself up. We've all been there and all done it if we've come through a polarized form of awakening. And a lot of people have, you know, on a soul level, because the soul at those levels is very polarized. Take a deep breath and start making tiny headways, tiny steps towards choices that enhance your happiness, that make you happy, that bring you some joy, that bring you some nice experiences of life, because life is short. It really is. It sounds really corny, but life is very short. And there, you know, there are things in life that are challenging, but it's how you perceive those challenges and how you deal with them that is everything. I don't mean spiritual bypassing and going angelic on everything. I've seen so much of that in this community. It really drives me crazy. I've been on the receiving end of it, you know, a lifetime of receiving end of that. And sometimes it really, what people don't realize is it comes across as very patronizing when people go woo-woo and spiritual bypassing on things. I felt that when it's been done to me, and I wouldn't do that to other people because I know how it feels. It's easy to pronounce things being a certain way when you're sitting on the elephant's back, but if the majority of the people are down on the jungle floor, they are not going to take that in the right way, or take that in a way perhaps it's meant by someone. It can come across as very patronizing. So to kind of summarize before I waffle here, a number of reasons why people get stuck. You know, they get caught up in their own pain bodies and belief systems, their own core soul wounds. They get caught up in very strong codependency, the need to be seen by other people and valued. That is a normal human need, by the way. That is normal. But I'm talking about when you get stuck in that, because part of coming into a union with oneself and a unified field is you get to a point of your evolution where there isn't a need for that. But of course, there is the normal human want for it. There's a difference between, like I say, the dance floor analogy I was using, needing and desperation for that, but actually wanting to experience, you know, love and feelings and sharing as a normal human being. Getting stuck because you've tasted the elixir of bliss, your own bliss actually, and you're looking for that bliss outside of you. Of course, we cannot miss out the ingredient at the heart of it, love. Of course, you know, many of you may be head over heels in love with your connection, or were feeling that you're in love with them, but even though a period of time has passed, they're still bothering you, and the whole thing is still bothering you, and you still can't kind of get past a certain point. Some of that is the divinity I've talked about. Some of it is because you will continually track back to what started that awakening till you get to another point of consciousness. And some of that is good old-fashioned love. And, you know, when you do love and you are not with that love, whether it's lost through death, whether it's lost through breakup, whether it's lost for other reasons, it's a natural human experience to know about that. And in all cases, you know, the more powerful the connection, the deeper it goes. We know why it goes deeper. We know it's all about transformation. We know it's all about healing. We know it's all about bringing things to the light, and we know and understand that, but it still sucks when you're a human being and you're going through that side of it. So just to finish up, because this is turning into a long video, if you are someone that is stuck, I hope this throws some light on that. I hope this throws some frequency on that. I hope this throws some relief on that. Try and take baby steps into making choices that make your life easier on a daily basis. And eventually, those steps that make life easier, you will find there is genuine joy on those days, and then those few and far between days may turn then into weeks, months, and then that is your, let's call it your normal resting state, which is much more content, much more calm, much more peaceful, perhaps much more joyful, perhaps much more, you know, in love, perhaps with life and in love with yourself. On that note, I will love you and leave you. As always, thanks for watching this channel. Thank you for supporting me as the channel in all the ways that you do. I will be back on camera again soon. And until then, loads of love to you guys. See you soon. Bye.